Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Insert Name Here. Its continuing mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. Few quotes are as synonymous with exploration and space travel as the Star Trek Captain's Oath. But Star Wars has exploration too. While it isn't as prominent in this franchise, it is no less important in the background. Plotting new hyperspace routes and discovering new planets to trade with, is a critical component of the galactic economy and politics. That's why today we are going to seek out the best ships in the galaxy for this vital task. I'm Joey from Radio Free Coruscant, and these are the best ships for exploration in Star Wars. WTK-85A. One of my favorite side character ships in Star Wars is the WTK-85A Interstellar Transport. This 21 meter long by 21 meter wide ship would be perfect for an explorer of any kind. It was designed for scouts, couriers, and anyone else who needed a simple and reliable ship to get them around. It had a small cockpit at the front, sleeping quarters at the rear, and a big old box in the middle with a massive boarding ramp to allow you to carry all kinds of equipment or vehicles to explore further on the ground. If you happen to stumble upon a secret pirate den or find someone who doesn't want to be found, it is armed with a double laser cannon and a double laser cannon turret for defense. And of course, its most distinctive features are its enormous engines. These were a combination of the ship's sublight and hyperspace drives, and could propel it up to starfighter speeds. It doesn't have an official speed in atmosphere or hyperspace, but given that information, I would guess that it has a top speed of 1,000 to 1,200 km per hour and a Class 1 hyperdrive. Its price is likely in the 50 to 100,000 credit range, though it hasn't been officially stated for certain either. If you are looking to explore uncharted territory solo, or with only one or two friends and a droid, the WTK-85A would be a great choice for you. JumpMaster 5000. Another popular choice among explorers is the JumpMaster 5000. This unusual vessel was designed specifically for long-range reconnaissance missions and scouting new hyperlanes. It had a wide crescent-shaped wing and a narrow passenger cabin offset to the right side with its 3 engines. It does have a rather exorbitant price tag of 110,000 credits new or 40,000 used for its tiny size, but most JumpMaster owners agreed that it was well worth the price. It measured 20 meters long by about 20.5 meters wide and 4 meters tall. It had a Class 3 hyperdrive and a top atmospheric speed of 1,200 kilometers per hour. It was armed with a twin laser cannon, though most of its defensive capabilities came from its incredible speed, agility, and most importantly, sensors. It had one of the strongest sensor packages ever installed on a ship of this size. It only required a single pilot and had room for 1 passenger and 50 tons of cargo, plus 4 months of consumables. One drawback to the JumpMaster was its hyperdrive. It was quite slow and was also unreliable and prone to breaking down. This was unusual for a CEC design, as usually those are built to much higher standards. But, like other CEC ships, the JumpMaster 5000 was very easy to modify, and as such the hyperdrive was usually the first piece to go. Other popular modifications included improving the shields and adding more or better weapons. This is what was done on the most famous JumpMaster in the galaxy, bounty hunter Dengar's Punishing One. And if it's good enough for both him and the civilian astrogation corps, it's good enough for you. CSS-1 Star Shuttle. For a bit bigger and less conventional option, consider the CSS-1. While not designated as an exploration vessel, this diplomatic ship could be very useful if you would prefer to focus on the new life and new civilizations part of the mission. It measured 80 meters long by 32 wide and 17 tall. It had a Class 1.5 hyperdrive and a top speed of 800 kilometers per hour. It only required 8 crew and could carry 200 passengers and 900 tons of cargo. In its service to the Republic, those 200 passengers were typically diplomats and their staff. For example, Chancellor Palpatine and his entourage took a CSS-1 to Naboo to celebrate their victory over the Trade Federation invasion. However, for our purposes, we could staff it with diplomats, scientists, cartographers, and astronomers instead. There are a couple different versions of the CSS-1 for you to choose from. The default red unarmed version is the most common, but there was also a refit that added 2 turbo lasers to it if you would prefer a bit of protection. There was also a version used by the New Republic if you would like a different aesthetic. It is unclear if it is a variant of the CSS-1 or a whole new ship, and what the non-visual differences are, but if you want 2 engines instead of 3 and a nice blue color scheme right out of the box, then this one is an option as well. The price of any of these is unknown, but I would guess between 300,000 and 600,000 credits. Expect to pay on the higher end for one with turbo lasers installed or the newer New Republic variant, and less for the older regular Republic variant, unarmed. Consular-class light cruiser. The Consular-class cruiser is likely the best ship for exploration, though it isn't my personal favorite option. I wasn't going to include this originally, but with what are described as extreme range sensors and a dedicated communications computer to translate new languages and decode unorthodox signals, the Consular-class cruiser is basically the Enterprise. Its 3 Dyne 577 radial atomizer engines could propel it up to 900 km per hour in atmosphere, and it had a Longe Voltrans Tri-Arc CD 3.2 hyperdrive rated at Class 2. The Consular had a crew of 9 and could carry 24 passengers, 1,000 tons of cargo, and 1 year of consumables. Its interior was relatively cramped, so your options for labs and other equipment is limited, but still significantly greater than the previous ships. If you expect your journey to be perilous, it could also be worth investing in the Charger C-70 retrofit. This added several laser cannons to the ship and better armor, though at the cost of the main communications dish. I would personally opt for the original variant and add your own weapons to it, but of course you should do what you think is best for your operation. At a cost of 3 million credits, the Consular will not be the most affordable ship on this list, but if you are venturing into territory where you expect to discover new species, its communications computer will be an incredibly valuable asset to your expedition. CR90 Corvette. For the most Trek-like exploration experience, I can think of no better ship than the CR90 Corvette. In terms of design, it doesn't have much in common with the average Starfleet ship. It is of course much smaller than most Starfleet explorers, and its shape almost couldn't be more different, but in terms of character it matches quite well. This diplomatic ship measured 150 meters long by 48.6 meters wide and 32.6 tall. It had a Class 2 hyperdrive and a top speed of 950 kilometers per hour. It was well armed with typically 2 dual turbo lasers and 4 single turbo lasers, but its non-threatening appearance ensured any new civilizations you encounter won't think you're a hostile invader. It had a crew of 46 to 165 and could carry hundreds of passengers, 3,000 tons of cargo, and 1 year of consumables. Most CR90s are set up to be diplomatic craft, which is the perfect starting point for an exploration vessel. Bring a few diplomats on board to meet with new cultures, and convert the other diplomatic offices into laboratories for stellar cartography, astrometrics, and more. It is an incredibly versatile ship, and would be right at home as an explorer as effortlessly as it is a diplomatic ship, a corvette, a passenger liner, or a freighter. I've always thought this would make a good hero ship for a show about exploration in Star Wars. I suppose people would probably consider that a ripoff of Star Trek and not want to watch it, but I think it would be interesting. They would obviously create a new design of ship for that so they could sell more toys, but even then the CR90 would be a good starting point to work from. It might not be a good starting point for you to work from, though. At a cost of 1.2 million credits, it might be best to work your way up to this one after a few years exploring in one of the cheaper options. And those are the best ships for exploration in Star Wars. I mean, half of them are just diplomatic ships, but they happen to be great for exploring as well. If you're going to go find strange new worlds, you might as well take some equipment to study them and speak to the people who live there. But let me know what you think of these ships, or what you would have included instead. And be sure to subscribe and share the channel with a friend. We are very close to the end of the year, and very, very close to my goal of reaching 6,000 subscribers by then. We may have even reached it by the time you see this. In which case, thank you so much for your continuing support, and let's try for 10,000 by the end of 2025. Anyway, may the Force be with you, and live long and prosper. RFC, out.